guys, I just wanted to spin a little of this white wool for you tonight. It's probably not going to be a long podcast, but I wanted to get something in, and since I'm spinning against this dark background, I thought a light wool would be a good idea. I'm hoping everybody's had a good holiday. We've about got 2014 in the can. We had a lot of family in. It was a nice time. It's a good time to be spinning and knitting and crocheting with all my nieces and nephews, and I really enjoyed it. Alright, well, let's go ahead and spin us a leader yarn. This is not only light colored wool, but it's really lofty and a lot of fun to spin. I'm enjoying it. Da, da, da. It does a long draw really well. Seems like there's a lot of bits and bobs in this. This is actually wool that we had pulled off of the liquor brush after trying to card some bats. So this is stuff that's not supposed to be good for making bats with. But it's still good for spinning if you're willing to card it by hand, which I am. Spinning on my dough deck this week. And spinning inside because I've lost the light after work for shooting, so this is primarily what it'll be for a while, is trying to find indoor locales, except on the rare occasion I can shoot on the weekend and get some videos done in the daylight. Getting ready for Rock Day. I'm kind of really looking forward to that. Is that like the 7th of January? It's the day that everybody is supposed to spin. I really like that. I don't always get to get in on Spinzilla, but I do like to make sure that I am ready to spin all day on January 7th, because that's, it's such a smaller amount of time that you can do a pretty good job of setting it aside. That should be a Wednesday this year. I'm going to have to talk to the knitting group and see if anybody else will be spinning on that day. If there's another vantage point you would like to see, feel free to leave a comment in the board on Ravelry. It's just the JunoUcan board, but I try to optimize the view for what's really going on with the wool. But of course I do these in a single shot, so it's just what I can get from the tripod. But if you'd rather see like over the shoulder as opposed to a side view, or even over the wheel as opposed to a side view, I could try a couple of those. I think this yarn is turning out a little thin for my taste. I was hoping that since it was so lofty, it would turn out a little bit thicker, but it's just so wispy that it's really drafting out thin. I have also noticed, I don't know how many of you have noticed this in your spinning, but you spin differently in lower light situations. So primarily I'm in sunlight when I'm spinning. Even when I'm spinning at work on breaks or at lunches, I'm doing it in the atrium where I'm right under the skylight. So when I move indoors to incandescent light, it does mess with my view of the drafting, and I seem to do things different with my hands as my sight becomes impaired. Hopefully the acoustics are pretty good too. It shouldn't matter with me wearing this hands-free headset, but you never know. It sounded like the audio, the podcast I put out last week was actually just posting a video from back in the day, but the week before I shot in the house, and the audio for it sounded pretty good, so hopefully that's, what we're getting this week is some clean audio and good volume. Now what I just carded was quite a bit less than what I had spun on this first run, and hopefully that won't have me carding too much, but I kind of like working with less fiber and a loftier preparation. The more you load the carder, the harder it is to get that really lofty bat to draft from. See, now this is going a lot better because it didn't have as much wool on the card, so it came out a lot cleaner and fluffier. It's easier for me to draft the way I want to draft. I didn't do any Christmas fibery stuff. I was making hats for some people, and then for whatever reason we ended up not gifting them hats, and so I kept one for my little girl, and everybody loved it, so that race was kind of run on its own, because I wouldn't have been able to get rid of it after my family saw it, and everybody went crazy over it. So that was nice that we ended up deciding we didn't want to give the stuff away anyways. But I'm not really much one on Christmas knitting and things. I would like to do it, but it seems like it takes more organization than I have, like figuring out who and what I need to knit, and then like setting aside enough time to start early and to get things done on a regular schedule, so that by the time it gets here, we're not hard pressed on any of them, and we've had time to do a good job on whichever products we did choose to do. Okay, now this is about the amount. It falls somewhere between what I did the first time and what I just did, because you want those same results you're looking for, which is, you know, fluffy if that's what you want, so that you can do a long draw, but at the same time you don't want to be returning to the cards all the time, so you want to get as much on as you can, as long as it's not messing up the kind of fiber preparation that you want to draft from. So hopefully this will be like a good in between. Now I'll actually take these two cards one at a time to draft from. I don't know if I talk about it too much most of the time, but what I'm spinning with is an 8-to-1 ratio. And I find that a good even pace for a relaxed treadle. And I'm working on a single treadle too. I like that because I can switch feet if one of my feet get tired, as opposed to both of my feet getting tired at the same time and just having to either stop or power through it. But the 8-to-1 gives me more than enough of an increase that I'm able to draft at the rate I want, while still being able to add extra twists without treadling forever if I get to a point where I need more twist in it. It's not a chore for me to add it. Now I haven't switched my treadling foot yet because my right foot has not got tired, but I have switched to a left-handed draft a couple times tonight, and of course that's interchangeable. You can switch over to the left hand and draft for as long as you want, and you can even use your right hand to wind on, and then you can switch over to the right hand and keep drafting. It's pretty free movement. Okay, now I'm going to start that second card. And that was a pretty easy transition. you can't really see because maybe you could tell in the wheel, but you couldn't see the treadle. But there, for a minute while I was fiddling with the wool that had slipped out of my hand, I actually was pedaling back and forth on the treadle to refrain from adding any more twist while I was trying to grab the end of that. I like to call that a holding pattern. So if at any time I'm doing more drafting up here and don't want to over twist, I can just go back and forth, and then I'm still ready to keep my momentum going as I kick forward into clockwise rotation. I think this is going to be my last card. I don't want to have these videos go too long. At the resolution I try to put them up at, a half hour is kind of pushing the space I can use to upload them, so I'm going to try to keep it more to 20 minutes so that I can do it at the good resolution, let you really see what's going on here in the wool and the yarn, but then also not have a problem with the file size being too large. So hopefully that's a sweet spot for you guys too. Week after week it's a little easier maybe to sit down for 20 minutes and watch something than it would be to put a half hour aside or longer. I really am not a fan of video podcasts. I like the audio podcast more, that you can listen to while you're doing your stuff and going about your business, but because of the reason I'm doing this, that doesn't really work for me. This is a good amount on there for just a little bit of what we had. I wasn't sure I was going to have enough wool to mess with, but I haven't even gotten started on it, and I've got a good amount of yarn out of it already. So I think we did pretty good, and hopefully I'll have a little more for you next time.